Hey guys, how's it going? Yuri here. Monday morning. Hope you had a great weekend. I had a lot of fun this weekend. I watched a lot of soccer. The Euro Cup is obviously on. Go Denmark, go Germany. Both my teams won, which is awesome. Watched the French Open, lots of tennis. So really just a lot of TV watching and try to get outside and active as well. Unfortunately, yesterday we had a soccer game in the blazing heat, 3 o'clock kickoff, and we wilted under the heat and lost an Ontario Cup game in the first round of the Ontario Cup, and so we're out of the Ontario Cup now. So if you don't know what that is, it's basically the big tournament in Ontario, our state in Canada, where all the top teams play against each other. So now we're out in the first round. So it's pretty unfortunate, but it also got me thinking because the reason that our team kind of wilted in the second half is probably not so much the fitness side, but the mental and the focus side. But we were a little bit fitter than the other team, but nonetheless. Anyways, it got me thinking, and because it was such a beautiful day yesterday, and really all weekend, and I'm sure you've experienced similar weather wherever you are, I got to thinking, like, you know, now is a time where we want to get outdoors, and we want to get active, and we want to get running, right? Running is a great outdoor activity if you do it properly. So what I want to do in this video is just kind of give you some nuts and bolts as to how to get started with running. If you've never run before, or if you want to get back into it after several months off or after an injury, I want to give you the easiest way to start it, okay? Because the traditional way, the big mistake that a lot of runners make, or people hoping to get into running, the big mistake that they make is that they go out and they say, okay, well, I haven't run forever, or I'm too heavy to run, or I'm out of shape, or whatever it might be, and they just say, okay, let's see how long I can run for. So they go out and run. It might be 5 minutes, it might be 2 minutes, it might be a mile, whatever it might be, and that's it. So then they just walk it off and they call it a day. They continue doing that, and it doesn't really lead to steady progress, and in a lot of cases that actually leads to injuries, overuse injuries, shin splints, and stuff like that, because they're not really thinking about the running mechanics or the running form, so they're just trying to do things on their own. And if you've ever been in this situation, then it's totally fine. Believe me, I understand. It's okay, right? So I want to help you kind of make this transition a little bit more seamless without the injuries and a little bit more effective. So what I have here for you is I'm going to share, as you know, I love teaching and I love using these cool little graphs. I have a little graph that I've prepared for you, and if my finger moves out of the way there, we'll be able to see it better. Okay, so here we go. So on this graph, we have on the bottom, we've got time, and on the, where are we? Y-axis, we have speed or intensity or max heart rate. Those are pretty much all synonymous. So what I'm going to show you here is we're going to use a theoretical example, okay? So let's say you're just beginning as a runner, just starting out, and you wanted to go, whatever, let's say a jog or a decent speed type of run, right? Let's say the longest you could run at that particular speed, whatever it might be, is 30 seconds, okay? That's the most time you can spend at that speed, okay? So that would be represented by number 1 here. So the length of that kind of little plateau there, let's say that's 30 seconds, and we know that that's all you can run for. So after 30 seconds, you must stop or have to walk, okay? So this is where you want to be using something like I'm going to show you here, which is called interval training. And here's why you want to be using this. Okay, so let's say you can only run for 30 seconds and then you have to stop. Now instead of calling it a day or trying to continue, pushing your body, what you want to do here is you take the first 30 seconds at that speed and then you drop it off. Where am I? There we go. You drop it off for, let's say, a minute. Okay, so 30 seconds on, 1 minute off. And then you, it's weird here. I'm kind of looking into the camera and trying to do this is tough. Okay, so we drop it off for about a minute, let's say. Again, there's all sorts of different ways you can do this, but I'm just going to use this as an example. 30 seconds on, 60 seconds off. And then we bring it back up. Okay, so the number 2 here would represent the second 30-second interval. And then we drop it back down. Okay, 1 minute off as a walk or a very, very, very light jog. Then we take it back up for number 3. Again, at that 30-second pace, bring it back down, 1 minute off. Back up to number 4, back down, and back up to number 5. So this is an example, a visual example of how interval training works, okay? And here's why it's so powerful. Because let's say you could only go out and run at that speed for 30 seconds and that would be it. That's all you could do. Well, here's the power of interval training. It allows you to do that 30-second bout several times because you have these recovery periods. Okay, so these are really important. And these are actually the most important variable in interval training. If you were to reduce these recovery periods, right, if you were to take these away, what would happen? We would actually have a straight line up here. Okay? So that means that the less recovery you have, the more time you're spending at a faster speed. So therefore, as you get fitter, one of the first things you want to do is not necessarily make the duration of the work bout longer. You can if you want to, but you can start by reducing the recovery bouts. So that instead of a 1-minute recovery, you're recovering for, let's say, 45 seconds, and then 30 seconds, and then 15 seconds, and then 5 seconds, and then you're pretty much just running at this pace. And that's the secret to getting fitter very quickly. It's amazing how powerful interval training is. Now here's another thing I want to show you on this graph. I'm just going to draw this in here with the red marker. Is people ask me, you know, Yuri, what kind of heart rate should I be at while I'm doing interval training? Well, I'm going to show you how this works and why using heart rate is actually not a very effective way to gauge your interval training bout, especially if you're starting off and you don't have that kind of kinesthetic awareness. So what I'm going to show you here is something really interesting. Just give me a second as I draw this out. Okay, so here we go. If you can see this properly, let's start over here at number 1. Okay, the red is going to represent your average, or I'm going to say it's going to be your real-time heart rate. Okay, so notice here that as the increase in speed occurs, we have a spike in heart rate in the red. During the recovery, it goes down. It goes back up in the second bout. Notice how it's a little bit higher than the first one. Back down in that recovery period. But again, notice how it's not fully recovered down to baseline as it was maybe in the first interval. And then for the third interval, it goes back up even higher than the second bout. And then it goes back down. And then number 4 goes even higher, comes back down, and it's not, again, recovering to that same level. And then in the 5th bout, it goes up even higher. So this is why using your heart rate as a determinant of how to use when you're doing intervals is not a really effective way to do it, because your heart rate is always going to be climbing throughout the workout. So essentially what's going to happen is it's going to look like this. Your average heart rates over the course of your workout will look like this, as I'm drawing it out here. Okay, so the dotted line here, right? This dotted line, wherever I just drew that, this way, is representative of your average heart rates during the workout. It will always steadily increase as you get towards the culmination, the end of your workout. And that's because you don't fully, unless you're taking recovery periods of 4 or 5 minutes, you're not going to fully reduce your heart rate back to a baseline level. And that's a great thing. You don't have to be scared of that. That's a very, very good thing. And that's why interval training is so powerful, because at the end of the day, the more time you can spend up here, closer to your maximum heart rates, the fitter you're going to be, the faster it's going to happen. And here's the big difference, okay? Here's the big take-home message with respect to, I'm going to just draw this on the back. Actually, can't even see that. Just take another piece of paper here. So the big difference between interval training and regular training, so let's say you went for a run, okay? Again, we'll take that same graph, time and speed. The big difference here, okay, is you go for a steady state jog, you just go for a jog, that's fine. This is what's going to happen, okay? Generally, your heart rate is going to stay more or less the same, more or less. Let's say that's 75%, okay? So 75% of your maximum possible heart rate. Interval training, what's going to happen is this. It's going to start off at whatever level you're at. So let's say it might be at 60%, might be 50% of your max heart rate. But what's going to happen is over the course of the workout, it's going to go up to whatever it might be. Okay. So here's the big difference. So this is the It's a representation of your average heart rate over the course of the workout. You'll notice that in the steady state run, it's just one consistent heart rate, your 140 beats per minute, whatever it might be. Interval training is going to go up and down, up and down, up and down, and the average heart rate is going to steadily increase over the course of the workout. Okay, so again, if you were to calculate this, if you had a treadmill or a heart rate monitor that were to calculate the calories burned or the number of beats over the course of the workout, the interval training is always going to be more effective for calories burned and getting you to a higher percentage of your maximum heart rate because your heart rate is continually increasing. This is known as cardiovascular drift. Your cardiovascular system is drifting upwards as you get more fatigued. And this will be even more pronounced in the heat. So it's really hot outside. Where I live, it's about 30 degrees Celsius right now, and it's only like it's the morning. So it's really hot outside. And this, I'm just going to kind of tie this back in with our soccer game yesterday. So in extreme heat, you lose a lot of water. And because your water makes up a big proportion of your blood, what happens there is your heart has to beat faster to move less blood, okay? Because now instead of having, let's say, 5 liters of blood, you might have 4.5. So you still have to get that same amount of oxygen to all your cells. So your heart has to beat faster, 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 and that's why you get more fatigued at the end of a workout, and especially if it's in the heat, okay? Because your heart has to work a lot harder to move the same amount of blood or less amount of blood to the same amount of space, same amount of cells to provide the necessary oxygen. Now, so that's what happens in the heat, extreme kind of intense exercise stuff, but you can really prepare your body for that with this type of interval training. And that's why as a runner, as someone who's starting out, it's by far the best way to do things. Because what I find is that a lot of people they don't have a proven plan to follow, they don't have the right coaching or the structure, and in most cases, again, studies have shown that about 60% of runners, actually there's quite a variance, about 39 to 60% of runners will get injured at some point. And the reason for that is because they're not doing things properly. So I want to help you avoid those injuries and help you, instead of spending 7 days a week running, you can do, let's say, 3 interval runs per week and get great results. So I'm going to give you a really simple workout to follow if you're just getting started out. If you've never run before, if like walking to the end of the block is tough for you, here's something you can do. Go for a jog. It can be outside or on the treadmill, it doesn't matter. I want you to jog at a decent speed, okay, so a little bit of a huff and puff for 20 seconds. And then I'd like you to take 60 seconds to recover. Okay, so jog for 20 seconds, a good little pace, and then take 60 seconds at a nice brisk walk. Okay, so 20 seconds on, 60 seconds off. I'd like you to repeat that. Okay, so that's 1 minute and 20 seconds, or sorry, that's not right. Yeah, 1 minute and 20 seconds or 80 seconds. I'd like you to repeat that 10 times. Okay, so I'm just gonna bust out my calculator here very quickly. Okay, so that's gonna be a 13-minute workout. Okay, so 20 seconds, good jogging pace, 60 seconds recovery, brisk walking, and I'd like you to repeat that 10 times. That's gonna take you 13 minutes, and that will be a great workout to start with. Now, the important thing is that these 10 bouts of 20 seconds should be faster than the longest amount of time you can run for at that same speed. Okay, so if you can jog for, let's say, 2 minutes, and that would be it for the jog, you need to be able to run faster during these 20-second bouts. Okay, does that make sense? So anyways, start off with that. If you like this kind of stuff and if you want more support and coaching and motivation, all that kind of structure for your runs, if you're just starting out, there's a link below this video, just check it out. It's my Treadmill Trainer Volume 1 workout, and it's specifically designed for beginners. So if you're a beginner, you need some more help with your runs, how to get started, you don't know what to do, you don't want to think about all this protocol stuff, you'll have me on your headphones, because again, they're iPod based or MP3 player based, and you'll have me to coach you through your workouts every step of the way. So if that's something of interest to you, check it out below. And in the meantime, hope this information has helped you out. I hope you're enjoying the weather, and I'll talk to you soon.